Hello and welcome to Sighisoara in Transylvania. You can see the clock tower behind me. Well, it's part of this UNESCO protected citadel which dates back to the 12th century. It's famous as the birthplace of Count Dracula, yes, Bram Stoker's Dracula, although we'll find out that the story is not quite as simple as it appears. It's also a city and an area, Transylvania, that King Charles of Britain loves a great deal, and we'll find out what links he has with the area. On top of that, we'll see the Saxon architecture, like the fantastic cathedral, sense of humour that's very evident there, and all of the ancient walls. There's a lot to see. Let's get going. In the 12th century, this part of Transylvania belonged to Hungary, and in 1191, the king invited Saxons to settle here in what we now know as Sighisoara. They were craftsmen and artisans, and they quickly established a centre of wealth and trading. In fact, so much success that by 1337 Sighisoara was recognised as an important royal centre, and its importance only grew during the Holy Roman Empire. Walking past this house feels spooky and rather dangerous because this is where Vlad the Impaler, Count Dracula, was born, and he really was born here. May not be quite the person that Bram Stoker talked about or wrote about in his story, and he actually ever researched it here, but this is the house. We'll find out that actually Vlad is a bit of a national hero. Let's try to get a bit behind the cover story of Count Dracula then. The truth is that Vlad Tepes, hope I pronounced it right, was born here in 1431 under Hungarian rule, and his personality has inspired Bram Stoker when he wrote the famous book. But the book has absolutely nothing to do with reality, and now we'll find out a little bit more about the true story of Vlad Tepes. Bună ziua, Mihai.
Bună
It's
ziua,
after 12
Philip.
p.m, so I have to say bună ziua.
Yes, of course.
And not bună dimineața.
No. Bună ziua.
I've always wanted to come to Sighisoara, and one of the reasons is because of Vlad Tepes.
Tepes.
Tepes. Now,
Tepes, yes.
to me, he's a vampire and he drinks lots of blood, and that's why I wanted to come here. Is that the true story or not?
Actually, the Dracula story is just a myth. So, Bram Stoker, that Irish writer with his stunning imagination, he found about Vlad the Impaler and what he was doing here in Transylvania by impaling
Impaling, yes.
Turkish
Yes,
and
the
so
Turkish.
on. Now, Vlad the
Not next.
Impaler was our national hero. He had his way to punish the people, but who? The robbers, the lazy
Yeah.
people, those ones that was trying to attack us and so on. He was impaling them, but we are talking about 1400s.
Yeah.
We can
Of
go
course,
in
of
the
course.
Inquisition
Yeah,
time of European
course.
countries, and Vlad was light impaling them now. Now, this Irish writer, Bram Stoker, found about the history of Vlad the Impaler, and from Ireland, from his bed, with his stunning imagination, transformed this character of Vlad the Impaler in that character Dracula, drinking blood, vampires and so on. So he did an excellent job for us, like advertising in the whole world by writing that book without knowing for sure.
So Vlad isn't a vampire at all.
No. Vampire doesn't exist.
Thank you for telling me. But he is a national hero then.
Was a national hero in that time, and today we are learning a history about him and so on, of course, because the Ottomans many times wanted to conquer us, our land and so on, and Vlad the Impaler was so clever. He was studying all the strategy of the Turkish, the way they was thinking, attacking and so on, and imagine here in Transylvania, two hands of people, he won every single battle with the Turks. We never was conquered by them.
This is a city in which you really feel the mix of influences. It's largely inhabited by Romanians now, but there's still a significant German community. I've heard lots of German spoken on the streets and around the churches as well. And 1% of the population is Hungarian, and you can still buy here langos, which is Hungarian equivalent of pizza. So you see that all of the cultures live on, and they live well together. I think the old Saxon masters of Sighisoara would be happy to know that. The Bergkirche at the top of the hill, that's exactly what it means. The church at the top of the hill really dominates the skyline here. In the Saxon graveyard we see plenty of evidence of the German community's history here. I'm in the most important church in Sighisoara, which is perched on the top of the hill, so it's called the Bergkirche. And of course this dates back to the Saxon period, and this pew dates back to 1523. We know that because it's carved in. And it reflects Saxon humour as well, because this was during the Catholic period, and it says in German, "Whoever doesn't speak Latin should stay away from here, and they will be deloused." Now, what's that all about? Actually, this is the Catholic period. It's nothing to do with Martin Luther, nothing to do with indulgences, and the priests were held in very high esteem. What it's about is a little bit of humour, really, Saxon humour. Stay away if you don't speak Latin, and sit in the pews at the back of the church. So you could have a good time in church here in 1523. I think that's the moral of the story. What are your impressions of Transylvania?
Love it. Very pretty. People are lovely, very warm and welcoming. I'd love to come back in the summer, I must say, and see all the flowers and everything. But we've got the place to ourselves at the moment, so it's one of those best kept secrets, I think, coming here this time of the year.
And what are your impressions of Sighisoara?
Beautiful, stunning, I think. Quite Germanic, which surprised me. And that's because I don't know anything about the area, but beautiful, yes, with breathtaking.
Sighisoara really is a gorgeous place to walk around. As you can see behind me, you have houses of all sorts of different colours. Pastel shades of pink, green, blue, red, white, all beautifully cared for and decorated. It makes this a really memorable place to walk around, and no wonder it's so popular. Right now, not too many tourists because it's early December. We've had lovely sunny weather. You can really have this historic citadel all to yourself if you come off season.
King Charles is one of the best ambassadors
Yes.
of Transylvania. He came here 18 years ago. After exploring 1 week Transylvania, he stopped and he said, like, in that time he was prince, no?
Yes.
And he said, look, I'm Prince Charles. I saw all the world. But what I found here in Transylvania, the nature, because he's in love with the nature, the ecosystem and so on, your traditions, your architecture, and the most important thing, you, the people, I didn't saw something like this in his life, in my life. And what he did, because it's very important, everybody knows he has a house over here in the Saxon village, Viskri, but this is the less important thing. By his foundation, association and so on, he started to invest a lot of money and soul in Transylvania, and he restored 48 houses that was in a very bad
Yeah.
shape, almost ruins.
Yeah.
And what he did with these houses, 3, 4 in a village, 2, 3 in another village and so on, he gave to the people from the village.
Yes.
And the people from the village, in a corner of the house, they did workshops. What kind of workshops? To maintain the tradition of the Transylvanian people. And everybody in this world can go there, you also, to learn our embroidery,
Yes.
our pottery,
It's amazing.
and so on, all our crafts.
So he's really loved here in Transylvania.
Of course, yes. And he's coming here like
I know, a lot.
like
Yeah.
you.
Yes,
Hang
absolutely.
up. My mother is a historical, and he worked at the History Museum 32 years. And when King Charles came for the first time, my mother did the tour of the Citadel with him.
Amazing.
Yes.
That's great. I travelled here from Sibiu this morning, and I have to say one of the challenges at the moment is actually getting to Sighisoara. It's not easy from Sibiu because the train service is suspended, and I took the one bus of the day and was very lucky to get the last seat. You really need to book it in advance. but it cost about £11.50, so that's not bad. Probably better to stay in Brasov, the other major settlement in Transylvania, until the trains are fixed and travel from there, which takes a little while, like about 2.5 hours, but there are frequent trains. I've no idea how I'm going to get back to Sibiu and to my hotel tonight, because there are no more trains, there are no more buses, but I'll find a way. Another thing you could do is rent a car. If I'd done that, it would have cost me £10 to rent the car, which isn't too bad. That is the 1st of December, £10 for a day, but I didn't want to drive. You might want to though. A little postscript to this video. Getting back from Sighisoara to Sibiu is proving quite difficult, and I'm told it is because there's a lot of work going on the line. So I had to take a taxi from Sighisoara to Medias for 150 in lei, Romanian lei, which is around about £25, and then only going to cost me just under £2 to take the train from here to Sibiu. But here's the catch: it's around about what, maximum of 30 miles to get there, and the train, this train behind me, is going to take 2 hours and 22 minutes to get there, and apparently that's due to the state of the track, although it looks fine in the station at any rate. So let's see if it really does take that long. It seems an awfully long time, but it's a big difference because it's either £2 or around about £45 by taxi to do the remaining distance. So I'm doing the right thing, because I do try to travel at a sensible budget. We'll see what happens.